Cass and Enzo showed up, which was a moment, I guess.
Dear God, did they show up?
They were there. I wouldn't say that was my favorite moment, just because I just cannot stand them at this point. But that easily got everyone talking more than anything else for the most part on the show. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, just a fantastic pay-per-view overall for your second Ring of Honor show, first New Japan show technically. What were your biggest takeaways, including your thoughts on the Enzo and Cass run-in?
Well, thank you for including that, because I'd be happy to talk about that. Well, one of my favorite things was our seat, because our seats were very casual. Like, we were not in, like, your, run-of-the-mill, like, stadium seating, like, elbow to elbow with people. We were not in, like, any of that type of thing. We were in handicap seating all the way at the top, which does it sounds like a bad thing, but honestly, I would say it's, like, one of my favorite spots to sit in during the entire weekend. The only thing was we couldn't see anybody enter, which was not that big of a deal, because honestly, I'd rather have that happen for Ring of Honor than
No, exactly.
Raw or WrestleMania. So it wasn't that bad. It was really fun sitting in those seats. It just made it that much more entertaining and that much more cool, because it was so casual and like laid back. The Japanese wrestlers were really, really interesting. Like, it just it was really cool to see like the different ways that people take the sport on in like different countries, just because you can tell the differences between the United States and Japan, it was a really awesome combination with all the different wrestlers. Saturday night, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The Enzo and Cass thing. Here's the thing. When we were watching, I forget which match this was during. It was a Japanese match, but the winner, it was like, I guess it was a face winner, like a good guy, and everyone was cheering. And all of a sudden, you just see this dipshit with like ugly platinum blonde hair come out from the audience into the like ring and starts beating the shit out of some of the wrestlers. The Briscoe brothers came out. They were like punching the shit out of this guy. And you were even saying to me, you're like, oh, I think that's a fan. And we're like, oh, okay, what the fuck? And this was right after we found out what happened with the whole Bret Hart thing. So we're like, Jesus Christ, Saturday is not a good day for WrestleMania weekend. So we're just like watching this unfold. I saw Bully Ray, who, like, Jesus Christ, I would not want to get in the way of that man. He's very intimidating. He starts beating the shit out of this guy. And then all of a sudden, somebody in front of us was like, everyone says, fuck you, Enzo. And we're like, what? And this guy's like, yeah, that's Enzo and Big Cass. And my first thought is, how come this wasn't on Twitter or wasn't on anything or wasn't, like, made public during the show beforehand? Like, did they just randomly walk in and then immediately go into the ring and start beating everybody up? Or were they watching the whole show from the beginning and then decided, okay, let's just roll in? Like, it was just, none of it was televised. So we're all just sitting there like, this has to be real, because if it wasn't, it would be televised. Like when Velvet Sky and her little bimbo friend came out, that was televised. So we're like, all right, this is clearly staged, whatever. It's clearly a part of the show. Enzo and Big Cass coming out, not televised, looked real. They literally looked like they were punching the fuck out of each other. And they were wearing, like, their shirts. It was almost like what happened at, I think, Survivor Series. And Enzo and Big Cass both got thrown out, as usual. And they were flipping off the crowd. We were all chanting, like, fuck you, Enzo. And, like, shut the fuck up or something. We were chanting some nasty stuff at them. But it was wild. That was wild. And we found out later that I guess they did sign or something.
Yeah, I think they signed. Yeah, I think it was all planned, but yeah, they did sign.
I mean, I was telling you, I'm like, if this was all planned, and it was, we found out it was, great job on Ring of Honor for doing that. Not on signing them. Like, gee, thanks for signing an alleged rapist. Like, good for you. But
oh God.
But like the way they did it is so smart, because they didn't televise it, and they kind of made it seem like a legitimate accident that happened or a legitimate thing that happened. And it was really cool because, like, since Enzo did that at Survivor Series, well, what's stopping him from doing it at a Ring of Honor show? Like, why would they stage that? Like, it just seemed so real.
Yeah.
So they did a really fantastic job on that. But they should have picked somebody else, but maybe Kushida, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Enzo and Big Cass, total losers, very disappointed in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, no, the execution was amazing, but if it was someone else, it would have been a little better, because it's like the heat of the moment, okay, that was awesome, but it's like, okay, then it starts to sink in, holy shit, they just signed Enzo and Cass. Why? Like, why, though? You know what I mean? Like, they have the Briscoe...
So sad.
They have the Briscoe brothers, great tag team. They have Villain Enterprises. They have a lot of good tag teams in Ring of Honor. No need to bring in the fuck... Like, you lose the Elite and you bring in Enzo and Cass. That just doesn't seem like a fair trade to me.
No, it doesn't. They were also... I think they were also at... They were also at WrestleCon or something. They were at some... Weren't they at WrestleCon?
Yeah, Enzo was at WrestleCon. I don't know if it was earlier on Saturday. He was probably there just on Friday, but he was at WrestleCon at one point or another, yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I have no interest in meeting either of those clowns.